Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a Wrestling Mind podcast. Enjoy the show.
Well, I was a fanatic. There's no doubt a fanatic. My goal was to get carried out of the wrestling room because of exhaustion, and it never happened. The thing it did for me every day about 6 o'clock is that when I got out, I looked back in and there was nobody else there. Bottom line was I didn't reach my goal. So guess what happened? I went back in the room again. But I got some quality time because of just some kind of a fanatic goal.
You know we'd come back, baby. Here we are. Episode 2, Season 1, a Wrestling Mind podcast. This is your host, Ryan Warner. Now today, folks, we take you into the mind of an Olympian. Jake Herbert, 2012 Olympian, two-time Natty champ at Northwestern, has one of the best winning percentages in NCAA history, finishing 66-0 his last 2 years. Absolutely amazing. Now, before we get into the interview, you know what time it is, folks. It's Fan of the Week time, and this one goes out to my favorite realtor, Johnny Dank. He says he's from Chicago, but lives in the burbs. We'll forgive you, baby. But hey, in all seriousness, thanks for the support. We really do appreciate it. Now, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Sit back, put that iPhone down, turn the volume up as we go to the interview with Jake Herbert. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon. All right, folks. Welcome to another episode. Jake Herbert, how you doing? Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for this interview. Just being a lifelong wrestler myself, and just following you on the social channels. You know, you're really upbeat. You're crazy positive. So we want to dive into all that stuff. But before we do, let's just give the audience a quick background on your life and some of the things you've done in wrestling. Then we can take it from there.
I guess, a little about myself. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. When people ask me where you're from, I like to joke with them and tell them I'm from my dad, or from my mom, whatever way it was. Usually throws people off, but no, born in Pittsburgh. It's a big wrestling hotbed, right? That was like my whole life, even though sports school, trying to figure out who you were growing up. I was blessed to be a pretty decent wrestler. I was just a one-time state champion in high school and won it my senior year. Got a scholarship, full scholarship at Northwestern University. I didn't think you could do anything with wrestling after college. I was always good at wrestling. I wasn't the best. I wasn't like outstanding or anything like crazy like that, but I was, always pretty good. And then I went to college and just kind of exploded. I had a fantastic career, won all the acclimates. I was a two-time undefeated national champion. I only lost 4 matches in college. It's like one of the top 5 or 10 winning percentages of all time in NCAA history. Big Ten Athlete of the Year, all those great acclimates that go, with, being a two-time undefeated national champion and placed third, second, first. More importantly, got my college degree from Northwestern because, after college is done, you definitely can't do anything with wrestling afterwards. You got to have a good degree to go and get a job. Shortly after I graduated, the U.S. Nationals, the freestyle stuff was right after. So instead of getting shoulder surgery like I was planning on and going and getting a job, my coaches just convinced me, like, hey, it's like 3 weeks after the Nationals, might as well wrestle in the U.S. Open. So I wrestled in it, won that. And then in the World Team Trial Finals, I made the U.S. World Team in 2009. We went over to Denmark and had this bull made. I took a silver medal at the World Championships. And that's when I was approached by my coach at college. And he goes, hey, listen, you've been at college for, 6 years. I went on the fun route. I did a redshirt year. I did an Olympic redshirt year. I had 4 years of being in school, and it was on their dime. So why the heck not? I'd stay in college forever if they'd still pay me to do it. They're like, you can basically do the same exact thing, but now you don't have to go to classes. You just get to wrestle and compete, and we're going to pay you money to do it. And I was like, where do I sign up? Did that, and I went on this crazy ride from 2009 through 2009 to 2016, just competing for Team USA, traveling the world, and getting to do the thing that I love most. I was a professional athlete. As a full-time athlete, what's fantastic about that is it gives you like a lot of downtime to like build businesses, to build companies, and to continue and learn. You have 2 paths in between practices. Some guys get really, really good at Madden and video games. I wasn't a video game guy. So I would read, learn, and study and figure out how can I build businesses? What can I do to make sure that if I don't get an Olympic gold medal and all the Hershey sponsorships and yogurt sponsorships and those sponsorships don't come through, what can I do so that I'm prepared to still live the lifestyle that I want to live?
Yeah. No, that's interesting.
That's
I want to dive into some of the things you were reading there. But the way I understand it, you went to Russia during your college tenure. Could you talk to that experience a little bit? Because I'm just dying to know how they think about wrestling, how they think about big moments, and really like the mental side of their game. Because what their run in wrestling is just incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's the best system in the world. So the big thing that really happened to me was I met Andy Rovat. So Andy Rovat was our 2008 Olympic wrestler, and made the spot at my spot because I took that Olympic redshirt year in 2008. A great story that kind of goes with it on how I first got exposed to the Russian and the international training system was by being a good person. So it sounds weird how it took me through, but I think you are who you are by the actions you do when no one's looking. So I've told this story before, but when I was in college, I took that Olympic redshirt year in 2008. So I'm a college kid that has like $2,000 to my name, right? And I'm like, man, I'm rich. $2,000, I can live like, a year off of that. And it's not a lot of money looking at it now, but I'm getting ready for the Dave Schultz tournament. We're in the Colorado Springs. I'm in the bathroom before nobody else in the bathroom. And I look over and on the stall is this wallet, right? It's a big fat wallet. And I open it up and I swear to God, there's probably like $10,000 cash in there. There's all these Japanese credit cards, this writing that I don't know. And I'm faced with the decision. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll literally quadruple my bank account, right? $10,000 and nobody would ever know. I could even take a $100 bill out and nobody would ever know. But I was sitting with a choice. So it's you do the right thing or, you do the wrong thing. And I took the wallet. I handed it up to the front desk to Sandy Stevens. She made the announcement. The Japanese coach came up. He never knew it was me. I just knew that some good Samaritan handed it in. And in that tournament, I had one of the best tournaments of my life. I beat the guy that ended up taking 5th place at the 2008 Olympics in the finals. And because of that won me, like I couldn't take the money because I'm still in college, but it won me like a free trip to apply that money that I got to spend like 14 weeks over in Belarus and Ukraine. And it was like my first experience to like international wrestling, what they do. So by giving that money back, I gained so much more out of it, outside of winning the outstanding wrestler and knowing that I had the tools to compete at this high level. And it kind of exposed me to their mindset and like how their training system works.
And let's go into that. I mean, because for those of us on the outside, you see some of these great Russian wrestlers. They just seem like they never crack under the pressure. They seem like they have this incredible mental fortitude. Is that real? I mean, or where does that come from? I think
it's 100% real, and it comes from the daily work, right? It's their system and their structure. So they don't have it based on a competitive system over here. Like our youth sports is based compete. The more you compete, the more you learn, and eventually the good ones will stay through with it, right? They are a training-based country. It's you train, you learn, let's develop them physically. There's an awesome thing in Russia that they have called General Prepared Readiness. And it's basically like a physical literacy program to make sure that before you wrestle and step foot on the mat, that you're physically capable to wrestle, right? That you can do cartwheels, you can do the handsprings, you can do the walk on your hands, you can do all the stuff that you need to protect yourself out there. And then it's a slow process. It's learning over time. They teach them how to get to the leg. They teach them how to defend their leg, and then they teach them the situations that come off of. So it's a systematic approach to learning the sport of wrestling, which is why in Russia, when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, you're ready to step on up and just win a world title right away. We had Kyle Schneider come out on the scene and do that. Him and Henry Cejudo were like the outliers. Where in Russia, they'd be the norm because it's just what you do at that age. You're up there and you're ready. Like you've systematically approached it. Now they found out how to do it on their own, but we don't have a process to continue to step out or put out guys like Kyle Schneider, right, year in and year out. Well, Russia, that's what they do. The number 1 guy in Russia and the number 10 guy in Russia are like a point away from each other. Both of them could walk away with a world title that year. In the United States, that difference between number 1 and number 10 is very deep. Yep.
Man, I could go on and on about that. I think that's just so interesting. And I remember back in the day when Flow was just getting started, Andy Hova did go over there, I think, and spend some time over there as well. I don't know if you were on that trip or not, but yeah, fascinating stuff. And so kind of shifting into, you've had a lifelong of training, the day in and day out physical requirements you can certainly do. You go to practice, you work out, you do the weights, you run. But like when you think about going on stage before those big moments, right? Whether it's Askren or Varner or Paulson in the 2012 Olympic trials, like the day of the tournament, what are you thinking that morning? And how do you try and stay in the moment versus, time traveling forward and worrying about not worrying or thinking about a match or kind of taking yourself out of the present moment? How do you do that?
So it's just what we replicated. So that was always a hard thing to do at the beginning of my career, because you wake up and you're like, oh, it's match day, and you get all amped up. But you can't be amped up 8 hours before you step on the mat, because you're going to be emotionally drained. Your energy level will be down. Your stress is up. It's not right. So by doing it, you just get into a routine. So what's fantastic about Rovat, what he learned over in Russia, is he learned their whole training system. And we learned it too and broken it down. So I didn't do that every day, because every other Saturday or every Saturday, depending where we were in our training cycle, we would compete that. We would get up and it's match day. And I knew it. All right, 10 o'clock is the first match at Bonner Arena, Cliff Keen Arena. So I set my alarm and I do a match day. It's a simulation. And we have 10, 15, 20 simulations every single year before the big matches, right? And now when you get to be my age, you have 10 of those a year, 15 of those a year, 30 of those a year. That really starts to add up. So you learn your routine. I know that, hey, the night before training simulation day, I'm not out late. I'm treating it like the Olympics. So by the time I get to the Olympic stage, I've done it 15, 20, 30 times. And it's the same thing. It's staying in the mindset like, hey, I got to get up. And it's like, all right, hey, I know I'm amped, I'm excited. But first thing is you get up and you just do your routine, right? I'm going to get up. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to write in my journal what I'm going to do today. I'm going to, get my breakfast. I have everything all prepared, everything out. I got to make sure I got to be at the gym, 45 minutes beforehand. So my shoes are on a half hour beforehand so that I'm warming up at this time. And by the time my warm up ends, the matches are ready and here I'm ready to go. So you just basically take out all the thinking and it just becomes habits. And it's just getting up and doing what I've already done over and over again. So by the time I get my hand raised to win that national title, I should be jumping for joy and celebrating, but I'm kind of like, I've already done it 100 times, 400 times. And it's like, you can celebrate and it's great, but it's what I expected to do. It's what I saw myself already doing. So that's what's kind of, you just kind of do it, and you do it because it's something you've already done.
So
if that makes any sense.
No, it definitely does. I think you hit on a couple of things of consistency, but also, discipline, obviously. But you just mentioned something at the end. You mentioned you see yourself doing it. Would you visualize matches and big moments before you'd go out there and do them?
Always. And I always visualize them. And I'd visual them to the point that it was kind of ridiculous. Like in college, I'd picture myself, stepping out there on the mat and then boom, taking the guy down right away, putting him on his back, letting him up, taking him down, putting him on his back, letting him up. And literally I'd tech fall or pin him. And the referee would try to stop the match. And I would shove the referee out of the way and just continue wrestling and imposing my will. Like I'm a psychopath being released from this guy. And I'd have to picture my coach coming over with a tranquilizer and sticking me in the neck with it just to get me to calm down and stop, So I go over.
Wow. So would you go ahead.
No, I go a little overboard with it, but what I love about visualization is your mind cannot tell the difference between it's hard for your mind to tell the difference between what real is what's not. So they hooked us up at the Olympic Training Center with all the gadgets and everything like that. They had us run our events or do our race, right? So in our mind. So we close our eyes and they have everything hooked up to us from head to toe. And we go through our matches and the brain neurons and all the neurologically in our bodies and stuff are twitching and going we're actually doing it in our mind. Our body can't tell the difference. And that goes to the study of the basketball, right? They had two groups of people shoot free throws. They had one group practice an hour a day shooting free throws. And they had another group sit there and visualize themselves taking free throws for an hour a day. And they tested both groups at the end. And the ones that visualized did better than the ones that actually practiced. So that goes to show you how strong your mind is with that stuff.
And it's insane that that's not more well known. I mean, it's well known in the circles of elite performers, but your regular day in and day out folks who maybe aren't competing at a high level, I think that power of visualization and the brain redundancy is lost on them, which is a shame. Now, so when you would do this, would you have your eyes closed? Would you do it in the morning at a certain time, or just any time during the day you would start daydreaming? And this is when you would start visualizing what it would be like to wrestle in the Olympics, or visualizing what it would be like to be at the NCAAs. Was there a routine to it?
It was all day. I mean, it's all encompassing. So I knew I was ready to win a national title when I would dream about it, right? When I would go to sleep and my subconscious would take over and I'd see myself pinning Ed Ruth. I'd see myself beating Kyle Dake. I'd see myself beating David Taylor. And I would just watch it happen over and over and over again in my brain, right? And I'd dream about it. I would wake up. I'd be doing moves. I'd be talking to my girlfriend about it. Like, it just became an all-encompassing obsession with it. And it's a good thing. It can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing too, because you got to be able to turn it off at some point too, and just like, hey, I got to have time to unplug and rewind and not let it be there 24/7. But yeah, so I'd have my times definitely in the morning when I was writing down my goals. I would sit there and I'd feel it. I wouldn't just write it down and go do it. I would like feel that I'm already a champion. I'd feel that I'm already doing it. So that's a big thing to take away is knowing that and just having your subconscious do it, right? My subconscious already brings stuff up and continue to work in the background while I wasn't wrestling or while I was relaxing. So I guess that's kind of a good thing. Like, I don't know. It worked.
It's probably tough to balance that with living in the moment. Let's say you're having a conversation with your girlfriend or with your parents, and you're trying to be present and listen to what they're saying, but you're completely obsessed, completely absorbed with this all-encompassing goal of winning a title or winning a match or whatever. So it was probably tough to balance that. I'd love to get your thoughts on thing goals like winning an NCAAs or winning the Olympics versus goals within your control. Things that, hey, on this day I'm going to do this and hold myself to these standards. Did you have like goals that were within your control and then also thing goals, and how did you balance those two? Because sometimes it's, as we know in the 2012 Olympics, sometimes it's out of your control even if you do all the right things.
It is, and a lot of the stuff is out of our control, right? I tell kids, and I preach this all the time, that the two things we're in control of 100% of the time are our attitude and our effort. And you can control those two things no matter what, right? Good, bad, however. You could be locked up in prison. You're still in control about your attitude and your effort every single day on how you approach anything and everything. And if you always bring forth the best attitude that you can to every situation and you put forth your best efforts, well, the outcome's going to speak for itself, right? And that outcome it's always going to be, it might not be what you want, right? I failed at the sport of wrestling. I'm a failure. My goal was to win a world title. My goal was to be an Olympic champion. And I stand before you a failure in the sport. And most people look at my track record and how I did. You know, you won 8 national titles, you won 3 gold medals, you made this Olympic team, you did this, you're not a failure. And I appreciate that. But my standards are always going to be higher for myself than anybody else's ever will. So what I love about that is my goals and stuff were set so high, I succeeded through failing, right? And I tell people to do that same thing. Your goals should be big, and you don't control the process, right? If my goal was to be on the Olympic team and I don't make it, well, I'm not an Olympian. But because my goal was to be an Olympic gold medalist, I ended up failing and succeeding, right? If your goal is to make $1,000 and you fail at it, well, good luck. You're stuck with $400 or $500. But if your goal is to make $15 million in the next 5 years and you end up only making $10 million and you fail at your goal, we'll set your goal so big that even in failing you succeed. But going into what we control the outcome or not, we don't control much outside of our effort and our attitude. We don't control if we succeed or not. What we do control is the small daily things that we do every single day to see if we're making that progress towards our goal or making our progress away from that goal. So that's what I really, really harp on, and I focus now with like my coaching clients and everybody else that, hey, we're doing the right things day in and day out, and we can measure and see that progress towards our goal.
Yeah, no, I want to, with that transition over to, while you spent a lifetime wrestling and you had one of the best careers maybe ever in the history of the United States, now you're working in the real estate market, the personal coaching market. And so like just the first question I have transitioning over as I'm in sales, and I often wonder how to do this, like, what do you think like salespeople or business people, what should they visualize? Should they visualize what it's like going into a big meeting, or should they visualize, celebrating after, or knowing that, like, you know what I mean? Like, are they visualizing like the moment of going into the meeting so that you feel comfortable with that? Or are you visualizing the outcome and like how you'll feel when you have that money or have that deal or have that house?
You want to visualize both, right? Because you got to be comfortable going in. And going into the meeting shouldn't be the first meeting. You should have prepped it with your dog in front of the mirror, with your girlfriend, with your family, so that, hey, that's not that first meeting I'm in isn't really my first meeting. It's really like my 15th meeting, my 30th meeting. So I'm going to be comfortable doing that, especially with the material. And then you want to visualize what it's like afterwards, right? And you don't just see yourself doing it. You feel the feeling of what it's like, of that joy of the national anthem going up and that gold medal being around your neck, right? And the people that are there sharing it with me, with my wife crying in the stands and my parents up there just being so happy and feeling their joy. And when you can feel your joy from it and you can feel the joy that you share with others, it becomes so real. Right, we take that and it just is like this emotion that just now really we have that energy to drive us through that meeting and know that, hey, we're going to get to that position. We're going to get there. We're going to feel it. And it's going to feel great. And I can't wait. And I can bottle it up and I can feel that whenever I want. And I'm going to go get it from these people right here.
Man, I love that. And so when you get into your philosophy on body, being, balance, and business, can you just talk to that a little bit for the listeners? Because I love this philosophy.
So I love this. So I was already tracking and doing this because I wanted, like I said, I wanted to be 4-dimensional. And then somebody put me onto this book called, what is it? It's Garrett White, Wake Up Warrior, right? And I was already tracking. I for the last 2.5 years, 3 years, I've tracked like 80 different metrics of what I do. And Garrett White did a fantastic job of like really summing it up. And he called it like the 4 Bs, right? So body, being, balance, and business. And the way I look at it is he goes, hey, look around. He goes, most people are not 4-dimensional, right? Most people are 1-dimensional, maybe 2-dimensional if they're lucky, right? They have a fat bank account, right, with all the money in the world, but they're on their 4th marriage and their children hate them and they're fat and they're out of shape and they're unhealthy and they don't have that. Or inversely, right, you have like the hippie guy who's in such good shape and eats great food but makes like, $20,000 a year. And it's like so hard to find somebody that's like 4-dimensional that has it all. And I want to live a life of abundance and there's no reason why I can't have it all and do it all. So it's my body, my being, my balance, my business. And the way I look at it is every single day I'm hitting a single in every single one. Right? My body, right, to take care of it. Every single day I'm having a green smoothie, I'm having some vegetables, I'm having some fruit, I'm fueling it, right? So I feel good and I sweat. Right? That's a walk, that's a stretch, that's a lift, that's a sauna, that's a jiu-jitsu practice, that's a wrestling practice. I'm going to do both of those every single day to know that, hey, I hit 2 singles in my body, right? My being, I really want to make sure that I do my daily tracking and my daily journaling. Right? So my tracking and my journaling to make sure that I'm there. My faith is really strong, right? We just got back from church here today. I listen to a podcast, I do something. So I have my being going to every single day. I'm hitting a single in both. I'm not trying to hit a home run, just trying to hit a little single. My balance, my time with my family, it's super important to me. My wife, my daughter Tenley here, my time with my parents and everything. I really want to make sure my family, it's just not my blood related, but it's people I love. That I want to make sure that I'm letting them know every day that I love them and I want to connect with them. Whether that's a call, a text, a dinner, or something like that. So I make sure I hit those 2 too. And now all I'm left with is my business, right? So I got to make sure every single day I read something that's going to make me better, or I watch something, or I listen to something, or I have a conversation that's going to get me closer to where I can learn in my business. And then I apply it. I take that action and I go. So every day I'm trying to hit these 8 points. And, I add it up every single day. I either get 8 or I don't. Some days you get 6, some days you get 7, some of them they go. But trying to hit a single every single day is a heck of a lot easier than trying to go for the big home run, because I know that when I hit single after single after single after single, where I'm going to be, a month, 3 months, 6 months from now, I'm going to be closer towards my goal. And I really think that that's what happiness is. Happiness isn't like being in a place or like a thing or, happiness is making progress towards something that you want, that you really, really want. So every single day I can look back and say, hey, I'm making progress and I'm doing it and I'm completely happy and loving it.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's go back. So you said 8. So there's 2 on body, and that's your diet and then the actual workouts. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And then what were the 2 on being?
So being is I meditate every day and then I journal and I reflect, right? That's my 2 things, my being. I'm doing my meditation and I'm doing like my journaling, my writing of what I picked up during my meditation or what I read, right? Just something to write down so I can reflect on where I was that day.
Yeah. And do you journal in the morning, at night, or just in the morning?
I do one in the morning because I do my tracking in the morning. I do it at night. It only takes me 6 minutes. But in the morning, I'll journal of what I learned during my podcast or what I learned during my walk or what I like really picked up. And then at night, I journal down the highlight of my day, which usually revolves around my wife or my family, right? Coming home or spending time with them or getting to help somebody else. It's typically what I look back, and those are my highlights. And then I also reflect on it, right? Like, what did I learn? What is a big lesson? What's like an aha? What's like a big win? So that's kind of like my journaling. And I got to get better at going back and reading them. And I make sure every Sunday I try to go back and read what I wrote every single week, just so I can get a thought and feeling what it is. But the great thing is if there's ever a point in my life where I'm not feeling great, I can go back and look at every day and see exactly what I was doing, physically, mentally, spiritually, what I was doing to get to that position. So I have notes and I have logs of that, which I'm pumped about.
Okay. Now, I'm a big journaler, and I got into it from Ryan Holiday, who just a crazy accomplished guy for his age. And he talks about just writing. Like, and I used to be super structured in how I journaled, and now it's just, whatever comes to mind, write it out, and document that. And then on the balance, before we shift into the rapid fire, just real quick, what if folks aren't religious? What would you recommend for that balance section?
Yeah, so balance isn't religion, right? That's more the being is the religion, which is the meditation or whatnot. For the balance side, that's just my time between my family and my kids, right?
That's right.
Yep. So the balance is it's my wife and my kids, and you got to have both, because spending time with the whole family is one thing, but I still need that one-on-one time with my wife. That's something that she brought up to me this week because I'm going to NCAAs. So I planned a bunch of stuff. I have like a wrestling practice Monday night, a jiu-jitsu practice Tuesday, and then another meeting Wednesday, and then I leave for NCAAs this week. And she's like, hey, where's my time this week? And I'm like, thank you for pointing that out. I recognize that I was trying to squeeze this stuff in. So like I get to now find times, either that's a lunch date or do something nice for her, because she's the one that makes it all happen. I mean, that's who I love. That's my queen. That's like my wife. That's everything for me right there.
Yeah, I love that balance, and it's something I'm gonna start using that myself, and just add in a new tool to my arsenal. So, Jake, I know we're a little bit over time here. Just two quick rapid fire questions from some of the listeners.
Yep.
The first is, let's say you're at a tournament and they've called you. You're in the hole, right? Everyone in wrestling knows what that means. It means you're two matches away from being on the stage. What are you saying to yourself, if anything? Are you completely zen, or are you like repeating some mantra to yourself? What's your self-talk like? I mean, 10, 15 minutes out from a big match.
Oh yeah. So my self-talk doesn't start until about 4 minutes out, right? I call flipping the switch. I have a routine to get myself physically ready. I'm doing some light stretching. I'm already warmed up from the morning, light stretching, make sure my back's cracked, make sure I'm there and start getting my body up. Everything's feeling good. I have all my stuff I needed. But 4 minutes out to the match is when I start my self-talk, right? And it's the same mantra that starts my hair standing up and back my neck. It's like, I want this more. Like, this guy across from me right now is trying to take what's mine. And not only is he trying to take what's mine, that's my national title, that's my match, but he's trying to take it from my family. Like, I picture him trying to rip food out of my family's mouth, trying to rip shelter away from my family. The things that I'm trying to provide for them, he's trying to take. So this is a war. So this is a battle, right? So he's trying to take what is mine, and I've worked harder. I want it more, right? I've worked harder. I want it more. I sacrificed more. He wasn't bleeding last week. He didn't give up. He didn't miss that party. He didn't miss that event. He wasn't going to bed in time. He wasn't sacrificing. He wasn't doing what I was doing to go and take what is mine, right? So if he wants it from me, he's going to have to kill me, right? And I'm not dying out there on the mat. It's him or me. And I kind of get myself psyched up, and that gets me just freaking ready out there to go. And that, hey, if you want to take me down, you're going to have to put everything in your world just to get 2 points from me. And guess what? If you want to get 4 points, well, you're not going to have enough to get 4 points from me, because it's going to take everything you have and more. And very few people are willing to take that mental approach out there on the mat. And, very few people are willing to do that and do what it is, because I'm not a runner. But if my family and that stuff's on the line with me, and you're on a treadmill and all I have to do is run until you quit, well, I'm not quitting, right? My body is either going to physically die or you're going to quit. Those are the only two options. And when you take that mentality onto the mat, and you take that mentality into business or to anything you do, it's very, very hard not to be successful.
Man, you're a savage, man. I'm ready to go right now. I'm sitting here just getting amped up. Would you do that same type of thing? If you're going into a practice at 3:00, would you do that same kind of thing before a practice?
Very different. Tone it down. I would do that for the simulations, but I was a horrible practice room wrestler, right? I got scored on so much and so often, which is great because I failed every single day in the practice room. And from failing, I learn, and from learning, that's why I succeed. And the way I look in the practice room, it was the same 4 things, same 4 goals I had every day that I tell my kids in the kids club. Every day in practice, I'm going to learn one thing. right? I'm going to learn just one thing. I have one position in mind, one little thing I want to get a little bit better at, right? Every single day, one thing. I'm going to end this practice better than I started, right? Meaning that you clone me from before practice and clone me from after practice. I'm beating myself because I learned that I'm better. Number 3, I'm going to help somebody else do the first 2. So I'm going to help somebody else learn, right? Because if you really want to learn something, teach it, right? So I help somebody else learn a position, I think, which in turn helps me learn, and in turn makes my practice partner better, because the better he is, the better I have to be. Or I'm going to help him. I'm going to help him end better, meaning I'm going to give him a really hard go. I'm not just going to fall over that takedown and make him get better. And then 4th and most importantly, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy it because, I get to be here in the wrestling room. Nothing else matters. I get to have a blast, do what I love, go out there and sweat and wrestle. And it's something I love more than anything in the world. And it's the same thing I take into my kids for a pre-practice pledge. I make them stand up and say like the Pledge of Allegiance. They're going to learn one thing. They're going to end the session better than they started. They're going to help someone else do the same, and they're going to have fun doing it. And then after practice, I sit down and I ask them, right, who here learned something, right, to go over the mind? Great. What'd you learn? Fantastic. Great. Who here is better? Every single hand's up, because at the end of every practice, everyone's better, right? Number 3, who here helps somebody else learn or get better? Fantastic. What'd you teach them? Fantastic. How'd you help somebody get better? Great. You guys all went with each other. And number 4, most importantly for youth wrestling, what was the most fun? What'd you like? Was it the drilling? Was it the dodgeball? Was it the ride wrestling? Was it this drill? Was it that drill? And when you do that, you're just improving on 1%. And that's installing a growth mindset into the youth of America. And that's installing a growth mindset into anybody that increases that approach. Because when you have that growth mindset, you're choosing to live a life of abundance. And that's the life I choose to live.
Yeah. No, and that's clear. And just clear from following your social channels and what you've done in the wrestling and business world. And then just last question is, I've never seen someone more positive in my life than Jake Herbert. And this is just a selfish question. Where does that love for life and positivity come from? And do you ever wake up some days and you're just not feeling it, or are you just on all the time like that? Because I think it's just so infectious,
No, I appreciate that. I mean, again, when we're on social media, right, we're only seeing the best of us, right? I'm not going to put out I try to put out some of the failure stuff so people can see that I am real. But yeah, I have horrible days. I mean, you can ask my wife, she sees me at my best and at my worst. And again, we all have that struggle. So I'm not always on, even Tony Robbins has his bad days. Everybody does. But I'm out there to inspire people and help them do better, right? And it's the same thing. I know that, hey, at one point in time, my daughter's going to grow up and be able to look through my Twitter feed. Do I want to show her and set that example of, hey, I was catty or upset or trying to knock anybody down? That's not how it is. That's a limiting belief. That's a small-minded person. I'm here to help somebody get better. The better somebody else does, the better that is for me, right? Because it's that grows my circle. I'm not the person where I want my friends not to succeed. I want my friends to do better than me and to have more than me, so that when we get together to really tackle something big like education or physical literacy or something big, that we can have this huge tribe of people together and we can really change the world. So I do have those times that I'm off, and when I am off, a workout helps, meditation helps, just kind of stepping back and realizing how blessed I am, right? Because I could live in a dormitory in Russia off of $1,000 a month and be 100% okay. And here I am in this life of abundance. Sometimes I feel like I don't deserve it. I'm the underachiever in my relationship. My wife is me 3 times over. And it's just somebody that I hope for, I prayed for, and I wish for, but I wanted to meet a version, somebody like myself, that's better than me. And every single day I wake up next to somebody who's better than me, who's out doing something amazing, who's changing the world. And it's just a shining example of, what I want to be like. So by having that bar constantly raised around me, it really helps me to really recognize how lucky, how blessed, and how great I really truly have been in this life. And it's just amazing. And I wish that everybody else believed that too, and just went out and lived it, because we can all have that.
Wow. Powerful stuff, man. Powerful Jake Herbert coming through. Well, man, this has been awesome, and I really enjoyed it. Exactly what I was hoping to get into. As we round this out here, where can folks find you online, and any last words for the audience here?
Yeah. So again, my social media stuff, it's Jake Herbert 84. You tweet at me, I'll tweet you back. I'm on Instagram on there too. I'm on Facebook, but shoot me an email. It's not hard. You type in my name, you'll find me. It's jake.herbert1@gmail.com or coachherbert@kw.com. I want to help people succeed. What I'm trying to build now with my real estate career, well, sorry, not what I'm trying to, but what I am building is I want to help 30 people.
Nice correction there. I like that.
Yep. You got do or do not. Do or do not. What I am building is, and I got 12 people already committed to this. I want 30 people. I want to help 30 people by 2021 net $1 million, right? And rather that's through real estate, rather that's through business, whether it's through whatever form, I don't care what it is, but I want to surround myself with a tribe of 30 people that I help make millionaires, because I know in return, I'm going to get that money as well. And it's not about the money, right? It's what we can do when 30 of us have that amount of money. Now we don't have to give to a charity. We can start our own foundation. And I want to do this locally in my community here in Michigan. I live in Birmingham, Michigan, work out of Troy, Michigan, and I really want to help Detroit. I love this city. I love this community. It's where I live. It's where my children live. It's where my son will be born. It's where he will grow up. So when we have this amount of people and this amount of positive energy that comes aside, like we can really do a lot of good. So I want people on board. I want to help out. It's an easy coaching philosophy. There's just 4 things you have to do every week. And if you email me it, I'll email you the simple thing back. The key is finding somebody to hold yourself accountable with it and finding somebody that'll like help you do it. So you don't need me to do it. You can have you and another partner take the 4 questions and go. But if every week you hit these 4 questions, where you're going to be in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months from now, is unbelievable how much you'll see your life actually change in front of you.
Wow. Awesome. Hit them up, people. Reach out to them. And Jake, thank you again, sir. Really appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the Nationals next week. I'm jealous I don't get to go.
And I will. I'm looking forward to it. I got my mullet wig out. I'll be ready to walk around there. And yeah, I guess, like I said, I forgot to say the big ask I want from people is to come from a place of contribution. If you go out and you actually help somebody else, and this is fantastic thing on happiness, right? In every country in the world, when they ask people to focus on happiness, so people go, all right, I'm going to take an extra 2 hours every week and focus on being happier. The United States is the only place where happiness actually decreases. And it's because in the United States, when they say they focus on happiness, they go out and they'll like buy themselves like a nice pair of jeans or a nice pair of car, a nice car, or they'll go and they'll do something selfishly for themselves. While in every other country, they go and they do something for somebody else, right? They come from a place of contribution. They'll go, if I want to be happier, I'm going to help my neighbor. I'm going to go help the kid down the street. I'm going to go help somebody who's less fortunate. And you feel better from it. That was a hard thing for me to figure because I had to be super selfish when training with the Olympics with my time, with what I did, with my energy, with my thing. But now that I don't have that anymore and I can come from, hey, I'm serving other people, it's unbelievable how much joy and happiness and just like abundance that has brought in my life. So that would be my ask, is go and do something for somebody else and genuinely do it for somebody else and expect nothing in return and wait till you see how much you get back. It is unbelievable. And tell me about it. Share it with me, share it with the world, share that out, because that's what we need to be sharing, not like all the negative stuff. We need to be sharing the positive that we did for somebody else and how it affected us, affected our life, and changed the community and changed our city, which changed the nation, which changed the world.
And all great things must come to an end. That's the end of this episode, but it's not the end of the season or the show. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you want to support the podcast, please go to iTunes, give us a rating and subscribe, and also check out wrestlingmind.com for blogs and archived shows. Have a great day.